Well, you want to know somebody who is endearing himself to his new team, his new football team. A lot of football. We got baseball coming underway, hockey playoffs start, Masters tomorrow. But yeah, it's football. There's spring practice, and well, that's what modern sports talks about, really. We don't break down the Indians are 7-3. We break down that Cole Beasley, who is now a Buffalo Bill after many years of success. Believe this. Hear all this about Jerry World. We hear all this about the Star. And Cole Beasley, later the Dallas Cowboys, knew of the Buffalo Bills, playing in a stadium that was opened in 1973. Well, at least it's not War Memorial Stadium. Of the Bills, they'll need a hero. Because he has actually said, after he signed with the Bills in free agency, well, you know what? The facilities here in Buffalo are actually better than the supposedly extraordinarily modern facilities of the Dallas Cowboys. From a player's perspective on the radio, but I will try to do this from a player's perspective. Buffalo defecates on Dallas. Okay, do you get what I'm saying? All right. My apologies if that offended you, but it really shouldn't, and I think that I've cleaned it up, and now you know. It's right there on Twitter. Facilities for recovery and training are top-notch. Come to think of it, recovery from injuries, and that matter, locker rooms, are really to winning. Then again, the Bills, save for a playoff appearance in 2017, really haven't won a whole lot since home run throwback. Now, have they? Anyway, Bills Sports Performance Center, it's on Win Bills Drive in, Old Orchard Park, New York. And it is one of the best facilities in the NFL. People are saying. Ralph Wilson, by the way, was, and I know, he passed away recently, but he was, I think, one of the quote-unquote good owners. You look at, the Ursays, I would say they are bad. You look at Wilson. Wilson was a guy who absolutely voted down every possible franchise relocation, including, and here he was in Buffalo, New York. He could have easily taken his team somewhere that would have been more lucrative, from Toronto to Los Angeles in the day to wherever. I mean, but anyway, he never, that never even was in his mind. No, and franchise relocation is all about the owner, by the way. It's never about the fans. But anyway, player rehab, strength and conditioning, and safety are in the forefront of what Terry and Kim Pagula set out to emphasize. They're the new owners of the Bills, according to NewYorkUpstate.com, and Matt Perino. I'm assuming Perino knows what he's talking about and all this. So anyway, the original tweet was from, in a thread, was from U.S., who said that the Cowboys Vice President Stephen Jones mentioned team made a run at Cole with money. Beasley said, well, ask him when. The fan then quote tweeted his response, and Beasley then talked about the superior facilities in Buffalo. Well, I tell you what, Buffalo, working class, cold weather and all that, although people like to go right there too, so, it's... But I would point this out, this comes after Antonio Brown basically rejected a trade to the Bills and demanded the Raiders and all this. And so that didn't make Buffalo feel too good about themselves. Now Cole Beasley, that's the right attitude right there. Of course, still, attitude only gets you so far when you're in the same division as the New England Patriots. And for that matter, the Jets have an emerging quarterback, and Le'Veon Bell, and, well, I guess the Bills are the Dolphins to beat. That'll be there and all. The Jets, come on, the Jets aren't there. And I'm saying, when string quarterback, I believe the Bills shut him out 16-0. So, those are the Rex. But it does seem like players that want to be there. I keep hearing that Antonio Brown is this diva, and I don't doubt that, but will he be less of a diva that he's with the Raiders, a team he wishes to play for, than with a team that he wouldn't? And I think you can argue, we'll have to see what happens, but, Anyhow, I just found that interesting. I did tease at the end of the segment that T. Martin said in his first Vols press conference, well, first of all, T. Martin was allowed to talk to the press, which I think is a positive, but it's something that in the one voice, which really does speak of, hi, we're the Tennessee Volunteers, or really, hi, I'm Jeremy Pruitt, here's today's dose of propaganda. You know, crawling the walls with Butch Jones saying, what do we want from our media? You're not the editor of the Knoxville News Sentinel. You don't get to choose that, Mr. Jones. Pruitt taking measures himself that say, what do we want from, and it comes out then that you get quote-unquote propaganda. But, all right, T. Martin, beloved quarterback of the Tennessee Volunteers national championship team of 1990 on the block, someone who was able to talk to any reporter he wanted to when he was a pro football player for years and years, someone who also isn't known for making, controversial for the Raiders' head coaching job just 2 years ago. Well, now he's a Vols assistant, and finally he has been deemed worthy of speaking to us, and therefore the fans. Oh, how wonderful that is, Jeremy Pruitt. Thank you so much. Anyway, some interesting things here. Of course, he's the wide receivers coach, and that's basically, you might be surprised to hear that because he was a former quarterback, but no, that's what he's attributed to. And I will say this, Dan Marino, his father once told me, because, Dan Marino and his father, Dan Marino Sr., coaching and his success was his dad taught him the fundamentals of how to play quarterback. Keep the football right up here by your head so you'll have that quick release here, Dan. It was said that his father taught him that. His father was a wide receiver in high school. Played at the same high school that Larry Brown, the back for the Washington Redskins, did. Okay, Shenley High School. No longer exists. That taught him that. And I said, wait a minute, you were a receiver. How'd you know that? You don't have to be a quarterback to be able to learn the lessons and the fundamentals to teach your son to be quarterback. No football here. That wasn't. So Dan Marino Sr. taught me. All right. The now late Dan Marino Sr., unfortunately, but there you are. Here we go. So that's the system that's the situation with T. Martin. Okay, learn from Dan Marino Sr. I'm sure he can coach wide receivers. That's not a big deal. What about these wide receivers, T? Says that he was really impressed inheriting a group of 4 seniors who have played a lot of football. It starts with Juan Jennings. He's been a solid for us. That sounds like Cosmo Kramer talking. Okay, well, what the... And anyway, that's kind of interesting because remember we were hearing the Juan Jennings comments about how he was selfish during the final year of Butch Jones, that he wasn't showing up at practices and all this when he was hurt, which I didn't have a real big problem with. Learn, maybe if you are a student athlete, you should be in the library. Jones heel on the sideline. He'll heal just as well while you're reading a book. Think about this for a second. What about Jared Guarantano? Now, there's a guy that I think, Vols are going to sink or swim with, and I'm kind of leaning towards sink. Quarterback-wise, Guarantano is doing a great job. His nickname is JG. Really impressed by his arm talent. Now, that's telling because, remember, he threw 3 picks last year, which was good, but I thought a lot of it was that they emphasized still Guarantano at a nice yards per pass average of 8.1, and but he also, those picks against the Florida Gators, I can remember what team it was on, came on deep balls. I just wanted to say that. So he threw 3, 1 against Vanderbilt, 2 against Florida. Arm talent, okay. Then again, ETSU couldn't cover the Vols receivers, and he was able to light up them. 59-3, come on, son. He's getting a complex offense with a lot of operating of the line of scrimmage. Let's do it at Tennessee. So really impressed by him. Okay, so maybe if it is a complex, he's going to be going to a complex offense. I don't know. I mean, the offense became more simplistic as time went by last year. Could it have been that the feeling was, Guarantano wasn't learning what he should have been? Well, like I said, Martin, one of the good things about Martin being on the staff, I do believe that programs should take care of their legends. So hiring Kelly Harper, the former Kelly Jolly, as the Lady Vols basketball coach, good. Hiring T. Martin as a wide receivers coach, good. Giving Kelly Harper, not so good. But take care of the legends. I do believe in that. No, he hasn't done it yet. Still, though, I do think it's important that T. Martin, and for that matter, Chris Wenke, are on the coaching staff. I mean, if one guy has won a national title at Tennessee and another has that little brown trophy, the Heisman, in his trophy case, there is that feeling of what the modern day athlete needs to be told, hey, I've done it before, listen to me. I love Charlie Manuel, former manager of the Phillies, former hitting coach for the Cleveland Indians. He's the most genuine, honest, loyal guy you'd ever want to meet. He would have been hired as a hitting coach. Hey, you didn't do it. How are you going to teach multi-million-dollar athletes how to do it then? That wasn't always the case. The modern day athlete, yeah, it is. Has there been a moment since coming back that sunk in while he was at Tennessee? That's kind of a softball question, but this is what Martin says. Hits me different times, really just walking around the building, sitting in my office as a coach here. As a player, you come upstairs, you check on your coaches, you go about your business. But over the years, I've come back for games and really everything happening over the stadium. It has been a long time since I've been in the building seeing everything. When it finally set in, it was coming early in the morning or being later at night. Yeah, okay, so what he sees from freshman Remy Keaton, got enough time for me. Been part of two other wide receivers in my coaching career who were mid-year graduates. Both of them came in when they were injured, didn't see much of them. So, all right, ahead of the curve with the new prospect coming in. Coming out of high school, jumping right into college, way of practicing, lifting weights, all that can be a lot to adjust to. But Ramel, it's been smooth. Challenging him every day. All right, that isn't really saying that much right here. Before coming to Tennessee, Josh was the only one I recruited at my last stop. I was down in Miami. Buddy who was the receivers coach at St. Thomas Aquinas, which is a real good. It was, I don't know what the kid can do. He's from Canada. He's so-and-so and so forth. I watched him and immediately offered him a scholarship to USC. So look at that, maybe. He also says that he reminds him of Nelson Agholor, who is now a receiver with the Philadelphia Eagles. So Josh Palmer might be a surprise for the Vols next year.
20 WEMB